you also need to consider the negative influential factors, as I mentioned. And you need to identify them and see, where is that coming from? Am I watching too much negative social media? Am I listening to too much negativity from a close friend or a family member? But it's recognizing it and knowing what the source is and where it's coming from. Hi, my name is Máirtín Óg Mc Donagh, and you're welcome to this episode of the Mind Over Mountains podcast. For the first couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to read out of my book, Mind Over Mountains, and I'm going to talk about a topic that many people struggle with. Many people struggle with change and challenges. They do not cope well with having to adapt to doing things differently. Creatures of habit don't like the discomfort of the unknown. Nothing is guaranteed in this life, and no one has a magic formula. Action is the common denominator that attempts to solve every difficulty in life and can also make dreams come true. There are so many people out there who are dealing with difficulties with life, and without some motivation and inspiration, they'll go off the courses of their lives. The size of your problems or issues are different to everyone else, but hugely relevant to you. Whether it's in business, career, or personal, it can be really challenging to come up with creative solutions to your issues. My personal Everest, or my perfect storm, deeply affected every part of my own life and that of my family. The financial crisis and the resultant fallout had left me stranded on the perilous exposed slopes of my entire life. My boat was caught up in the midst of a critical situation created by a powerful concurrence of factors. It felt more like death and very little like life. Taking action in critical scenarios, when your energy levels are low and you are hostage to high levels of stress, worry, and anxiety, is near impossible. It takes huge strength of mind and character to push through these feelings and emotions. My confidence at the time was gone completely. I was like a top-class athlete or sports person who could no longer perform at the highest level. I could not find comfort from any source in any place. I wanted to hide and to bury myself so deep that I wouldn't feel the anguish and hurt. That's a piece from my book, Mind Over Mountains. I find that in my day-to-day job in the last couple of years, initially when I start working with clients, whether they're running a business or they come to me from a personal capacity and it's their careers or their personal lives that they may have issues in, I find that everybody struggles to find answers, struggles to find a way to relieve that pressure, to face that challenge, to make that change. And if I was to get €5,000 and I was asked, what is something that keeps coming up for the people that sit in front of me? And what is having the biggest effect on their lives? For me, it would be split between two things. But I'll go to the one I think is having the biggest influence. And I think simply it's influential factors. I've designed a coaching program called Navigating Your Own Pathway. I carried out a lot of research, and I based a lot of it on my own experience and the experience I've had from dealing with clients up till now. And that coaching program is made up of 5 modules. And one of them specifically deals with influential factors. And for everybody, influential factors have a huge bearing on how you live your life. And what I mean by influential factors, there's 2 sides. There's positive influence and there's negative influence. The positive influence, naturally enough, is positive. It's something that makes you feel good. It helps your energy, helps you make decisions, helps you enjoy life. You could be getting it from listening to a podcast like this. You could be getting it from reading a good book. You could be getting it from exercising, walking, cycling, swimming, whatever you're into. That could be a good example of positive influential factors. But where I find most people struggle are with the negative influential factors. And the negative influential factors for a lot of people can be really close to home. If you're friends or you're in a circle of people who predominantly produce a lot of negative energy, and a lot of the conversations is about negativity, and the energy is very negative, that can have a huge effect on you in your own life. And I find with many clients, they struggle in that particular area. While I've mentioned it can be a circle of friends, or it can be an environment, work or otherwise, that you find yourself in where there's a lot of negativity. But sometimes it can be much closer to home. And what I mean by that, it can be a brother, a sister, mother, father, partner, husband, wife. And that, for a client that I'm working with, is really difficult. Because if you reach out to a professional like myself, and you really want to make some changes and you want to change direction in your life and make some decisions and set some goals, the people closest to you are a huge part of those influential factors. And if those people are negative, that negativity is going to seep into your thinking. So I find in that particular area, a lot of my clients struggle. What happens after that is those seeds of negativity begin to spill over into self-limiting beliefs and self-doubt. And what you begin to do then is you begin to hold back on your goals because you don't want to upset your friends. You don't want to upset your partner. You don't want to upset your mother or your father. Oh, I'm in a really good job, but I'm not happy. I want to leave that and the security of a pension and take on something else. And it's been perceived by people close to you as a step back. And they're advising you against it. That can be really difficult. If you're running a business and you need to make some big decisions and you're a little bit reluctant, you haven't confided, you haven't been honest with your partner, you're afraid that they're going to be really negative about it. You're struggling with making the decision. In that kind of a scenario, negative influential factors can be disastrous. If we keep it a little bit simpler, if you're somebody who wants to lose a bit of weight, it's a personal goal. By the Galway races, Christmas, whatever the goal is, whatever length of time you give yourself. I want to have lost a bit of weight. I want to start going to the gym. Maybe I'll walk 3 evenings a week, 3 mornings a week. That's going to have a direct effect and your family, if it's a family situation, and your partner, your husband or wife, if they are not positive towards the changes you're going to make or trying to make, it's going to be more difficult to get there. So I find in that area, on that module alone, about influential factors, and I have it built around certain questions in that, where it's glaringly obvious that some of your negative influential factors are holding you back, it can have a huge effect on your progress. Now you're listening to this and you're probably saying, well, what advice have I got? With clients, what I do, every single person that works with me is different. I learn as much from them as they learn from me. But in a lot of these situations, what you do is you try and get the person that is sitting in front of you, my client, try and get them to be honest with the people that count in their lives and say, look, I really want to make some changes. Will you support me doing this? It'll mean I'll have a different outlook on life. I'll lose a bit of weight. I'll gain my confidence. I'm working in a job I'm not happy. I want to make some changes in my business. Whatever the case may be, that you share it and you share your goal setting and you get them to buy in and support you. That's really important. It's critical. And that's the advice I give to people, is go back, be honest. But there are times when a certain friendship or a certain circle of friends may not be good for you when you want to start making changes. If that's the situation you find yourself in, you have to question really, why are you on this journey? Why do you feel like you want to make these changes? Is it something you really want? Then you answer your own question. Because when we start making changes, and I did it myself, when you start acknowledging a certain situation that you're in or a way that you're living and you want to change it, oftentimes with people who have issues with you, you're holding a mirror up to them and you're getting them to look at their own lives. And sometimes they don't like it. So in that particular area, people struggle quite a bit, especially if you don't get colleagues, family, and friends to buy in to what you're trying to do. That is one area where I see many struggle. I talk about it in a lot of my posts. I talk about it in my book. But it's such a personal thing for you if you really want to make those changes, if you want to set new goals for yourself, that you will have to look at, well, where am I getting support? Where am I getting good energy? What's making me feel positive? That's what you need to focus on. But while you're doing that and you're getting strength from that and getting your good energy from that and a good vibe, you also need to consider the negative influential factors, as I mentioned. And you need to identify them and see, where is that coming from? Am I watching too much negative social media? Am I listening to too much negativity from a close friend or a family member? But it's your decision and you can control that any time you want. But it's recognizing it and knowing what the source is and where it's coming from. Another thing that I really encourage clients to do is to journal. Journal your thoughts. And most people will say to me, not all, but most, will say, I haven't written anything since I left school, since I left college, whatever. But it's important to get your thoughts out. And I designed a journal recently. And on every page, I have two different spaces. One is the professional side, your career side, or your business, and directly underneath that is your personal side. It's very important that both sides are recognized. Your professional, your career side, but your personal side as well. And if you have difficulty putting 3 sentences together in the beginning, don't worry about it. Write down words, whatever words come up for you, in the evening time, before you go to bed, before you retire, after finishing whatever you're doing. Sit down and say, what are my thoughts? What was popping up for me today? What happened at work? What happened in my business? And then go to the personal side. What's coming up here for me? And you'll be amazed after a week or two, the trends and the patterns you'll see. And it'll be glaringly obvious where you're getting the positivity from and where the negativity is coming from. So if you're somebody who doesn't journal, get the stuff out of your head. I have clients at times who have difficulty sleeping because their minds are going like washing machines. Constant spin. Slow it down. Put whatever is in here, and it can be as simple as words, sentences. What's the positive stuff? What's the negative stuff? Oh, I see that comes up for me every Monday because I have to do this. Every Saturday because I have to do that. You'll see trends and you'll see patterns going through it. So I encourage you to journal. Put your thoughts down, but separate them from your career or professional or business side and give your personal side. Give that space as well. You can't focus on one without the other. When clients start working with me, they have, in the beginning, the changes are massive. And there's a real feel-good feeling because they tackle the easier stuff. The low-lying fruit, if you like. The stuff that's more difficult, that causes a bit of angst, that they're not sure about, it takes a little longer. But you cannot totally focus on one side of your life and not focus on the other side as well. That's where that balance that they talk about comes from. You can't be totally focused on exercise and improving your health. You have to make changes in your business or in your career as much as you have to make changes in your personal life. That's where the balance comes from. But you have that control yourself. If you have struggled with it up till now, struggled with it in the past, in whatever area, reach out for a bit of help. Talk to someone who'll support you, but challenge you. A lot of your challenges may be coming from self-limiting beliefs because somebody said something to you who is close to you. Who do you think you are? Why are you trying to lose weight? Whatever. And those kind of comments can be detrimental to somebody starting to make changes. That's why the support is really difficult. So journal both sides of your life, the personal side and the career or professional or business, and definitely have a look at your influential factors. Where, what, who are you listening to when you're at your best that makes you really feel good about yourself, positive about yourself? Where is that coming from? Write it down, whatever it is. 1 word, 3 sentences. But on the other side, what brings me down? What makes me feel really negative about? Who? What scenario? What environment am I in? That is identifying your influential factors. So that's it for today's episode. Don't forget, if you want to find out more, check out my website, mindovermountains.ie. I have a newsletter on LinkedIn called Mindset Matters every Thursday. You'll find me as Máirtín Óg Mc Donagh on LinkedIn. My book is Mind Over Mountains. And that's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening.